Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm gonna break down the uh last post on my channel, which was this thing. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's the Arcane Playground scene song remake. So I just remade the song and did it my way, basically remixing the song, but it's for another project, so the original vocals won't be when I'm finished with this. It will not be here. Um, just so I could I just had these so I could reference off the um, what's it? Original song, I guess, and then yeah. So you'll first notice that everything there's a few things in red. Everything in red is things that I did not record myself or um or samples. So i.e. the vocals, some samples down here and this sample here. That's really it though. It's quite a small project. Um so it starts off with this big sweep. How I made this was I just got two oscillators in Serum, doing both the initial saw wave with a bandpass on it, and then the phase and random on these are both all the way down. So they basically phasing each other, cause phasing issues, and then chucked a reverb on it, a compressor and an EQ, and then you get that. Um, Doubled with that is this respace. How I made this respace was with Faceplant. I think Faceplant is great for respaces. Nero bases as well. Um, how I made this is just a bunch of saw waves, all with like different syncs and that. I don't know. I don't remember. I made this in a while ago. Just basically distorted the crap out of it, compressed it a bunch. This is just for if there's like any automation like here. Oh, whoopsies. That's basically just giving it a bit of light. I'm gonna quickly, actually no, right. That's giving it a bit of light, and then there's an OCT for more compression, more distortion, EQ, compression. Yeah, then you get the sound of this Reese. For the vocal processing, who told you it was I have a few things. Right, we've got auto-tune that's doing absolutely nothing. We've got a replica. This is just giving it like a slap back effect. It's not really much. Like if I take this off. Who told you it was It really isn't doing much. It's just like adding an extra bit of like thickness to the vocal. Heatwave. I don't know when I got this. I just got it a while ago, and I've been using it for everything. I think it's free. It's Slate Digital. I just like found it, and I was like, sure. And I've started using it for a bunch of things. It just adds like a nice bit of warmth to your things. Glue compressor, just compressing it. I've got these in series. I don't know if I've actually done this properly. Um, so take that as you will. These two compressors. I like to put a G clip in the middle of it to like just give it this fuzzy tone. Who told you it was It also distorts it, like, or gains it up a bit as well. There's also Valhalla Supermassive. Don't tend to use this for vocals, or most people don't. But I've been using it for vocals just for like a bit of reverb, and then I'll turn this to like 60 and then turn this to 30 if I want like a lot of reverb. But yeah, what else we got? We got a limiter that's just basically slamming the vocals. Well, not slamming them, but just turning them up, like making it so you can hear them in the mix. EQ8. This is Virtual Riot's Soothe 2 at home. I will link the video in the description, but basically Virtual Riot made Soothe 2 with Ableton, and it's meant for like vocals. So basically, instead of sidechaining the whole track to the vocals, you can sidechain the frequencies, if you get me. So this is altering an EQ on my sidechain master. And then I'll show you what that looks like. I'll play the track from the EQ, so you won't hear any vocals or drums. No, just from the sidechain, so you won't hear any vocals and drums. So that's how that works. Virtual Riot will have a more in-depth explanation, I'm sure. Now the sub is where things get kind of interesting. We've got the bass sub that I have, or the bass sub, the normal sub that I have. Mono sub. Everything is on this track is being distorted a little bit. So you've got a bit of distortion in there. And then there's this really wide thing that sounds like this. Because I turned around at one point and I was like, fuck it, I'm going to just make the sub as wide as possible without actually making it as wide as possible. If you look at the track underneath, what's it? Here's my mastering chain, and by the way, we'll get to that later. Yeah, if you look at it underneath span, it says it's like, oh no, maybe it's mono. Okay, so yeah, this is basically distorting against the sub, I think, and then causing it to sound huge. And then if I turn this off, or it's more layering with the sub to make it sound huge, like really stereo and that, but it's not too stereo, or it's not stereo at all. But this is just the same sub preset here. I've just got the EQ cutting out everything basically, and then cutting out all the lows, and then I'm like below 100, and then utilities just widening it. Remember to put invert either the left or right channel, just in case, not just in case, like if you don't do that even and widen this, it's not going to widen it to like where it's just your left and right ear. It's just going to widen it so it's like I don't know, it's still in the middle but also a bit, I don't know. This makes it so it's just in the left and right ear though. It might sound a little lopsided, but you shouldn't really hear that when you've got it all layered in. This, and here's the drums. So most thing that's like standing out here, not sound wise, just visual wise, is just display sample. Just like honing on a frequency in the sample to get that nice clang. So most of the drums here are actually MP3s because I couldn't be bothered making them WAVs because I recorded them. So that's the hi-hat. This is an extra hi-hat. You've got the kick and the snare. So the kick, nice and thick. The snare, huge, big like clang. How I made that is when after I recorded the drums, I put them into Ableton and I just chucked a drum bus. Like how I recorded them though was I had no snare, no snare, no snare mic. I had two overheads, uh, two SM57s under the tom, like there's two toms on this drum kit, so there's two SM57s under the two toms, floor tom and the high tom, and then my theory was that the low end of the toms would get picked up by the SM57s most likely, and then the overheads would pick up the high like little clicks of the toms, which was like perfect. There isn't any tom recordings in this project, but there might be some in a future project that I can show. What else is there? And like the main like massiveness of that snare though is from I brought in one of my own one of my own mics, and I set it up in front of the drum kit, pointed it up a little bit, and just like gained it all the way down to capture like the room sound. And I got like these gnarly snares. They didn't sound like that before I put the drum bus on it, but then I put Ableton's drum bus on it. It just made it huge. Love that. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the drums. Oh, there's this thing. That's just the kick, just with like repitch on it or something, or it's just been like, oh yeah, pitched up by 24 with no like thingy on it, and then that's just the snare again, just putting it in different rhythmatic like patterns. I left the hi-hat out the start, but it does come back in these two hi-hats here. Same hi-hats as before, but I left them out here just to give it more attention. So that's pretty much everything. There's this background, this thing. That's another recording I made. Same with that. I didn't make obviously the red recording. White noise. What else we got? We got this. If you're wondering why everything sounds like weirdly like compressed, like file compressed, it's literally just this EQ on the sidechain because of the vocals playing. Because it's just getting rid of the frequencies that you're gonna be hearing. So how I made this laser was I got Serum, white noise, band, this thing, turn the resonance all the way up, and then the filter, and it just sweeps through all the frequencies of the white noise, and then there's a distortion on that. There's a all passes filter on that. There's a compressor, like an OTT that's being like, well, basically just OTT, EQ, and delay, and then without this, it sounds like this. And then there's a reverb, EQ, and then there's this cool delay plugin that I actually downloaded the other day. I just made this preset for it. The mix is all the way up. Pre-delay is like 2A5. There you go on the feedback. Diffusion's all the way down. Size is like 35. It's like a delay reverb plugin. It's quite cool. And then I got this from it, which just sounds sick. And then it's like it's timed quite well with the, like, I don't know, the drums and that, so it adds it like this extra bit of atmosphere in there. Like Makes you feel like you're in the underground. This is a little contact synth using stacks. I think it's just a preset. I might have altered it a little bit, so I'm not too sure. I don't know how to use stacks. I just like got it for free, so I was like, sure. It's got replica on it, and there's an EQ taking out the lows. There's this thing. I think it's another stacks thing. Yeah, is that the same preset actually? Ah, right. I know what I did. Um, I had a field day with just hitting this randomize button on stacks. It's great. I definitely suggest like just hitting on a random like preset or just getting the initial preset and just hitting random on like any contact thing. Because then you can get cool stuff like this. And then that is pretty much it for the intro. Then you've got the like little build up thing here, which sounds like this. And now you get into the main part. So I'll go straight to the like main sound in the background there. That's like this like metally but melodic like bass. So how I made that, it's a fair few layers. It sounds like this altogether actually. So, first up, you've got this thing, which is just this extremely wide. I can't explain this. I can. This extremely wide, like, I don't know. What is it? Is it a saw wave? It's a sine wave. Just an extremely wide sine wave. So, first up, we've got the sine wave, and then we're doing some little harmonic, like, distortion. That's not what it's called, but I'm calling it that just now, where you get two like similar note or same scale notes, play them at different octaves, distort them with a sine wave or a saw wave, and you get like a note in between that, and you get some cool noise out of it. Anyway, doing that, and then that's got a filter on it with noise and distortion. With another pre-filter, another distortion. We are, I think I'm automating everything. Yeah, it's so this macro here is tied to all of this. So I can get whatever sound I wanted, like yeah, whatever. Distortion, this thing, just making it wider. Hyper, this thing. Compression, just like another OTT basically, and then EQ. Just mucking about with those lows, and then there's a reverb on that. There's OTT, there's a distortion or saturator. Then there is utility, which is widening it, and then there is EQ, which is just getting rid of some harsh frequencies and stuff. What else have we got? We have this thing. I just realized that speaker. I'm not actually using that one, so we won't go over that one. So, right. So this next noise is it's literally just this noise, but with a bit more reverb, a few more harsh frequencies taken out, and a delay on it, which is giving it the metallic-y sound. That's what that sound is. And you have this noise, which is being vocoded from this noise. And that's what some of the melodic kind of like noise is in there. Same thing as before though, like how I made the noise. You'll realize this is the same name as like my sub preset, because this was a sub preset that I altered to sound like this. This is just a normal C-room preset I found. Thought it sounded cool, so I layered it. This is one of the vocoded things. That's a vocoded thing. Add drums. Drums are pretty much the same. Two kicks this time, so it's the kick from before, and then this kick, which I made from this kick. I just distorted it a bunch more, and then got rid of the lows so I could give room for this kick. Then you got this. Gave it this huge feeling. Forgot to mention on the drum bus, I think I forgot to mention this, is supercharger, which is just a compression, saturator, EQ, and then G-clip to get rid of any of those transients that are just like way too loud at the end of the mix. We got the sub again. So the sub is the same as before. This time we just don't have an EQ getting rid of the lows like with this one. Vocals. Welcome to the playground, follow me. We've got vocoded version. Welcome to the playground. And we've got this version. Welcome to the playground. Basically all the same stuff as that's on this vocal, maybe a little more reverb. But this time we've got an EQ getting rid of this frequency range, giving room for this thing. And then there's more of that frequency getting reduced when it goes to the part when she's singing over the parts with this bit in it, so you can hear both of them at the same time. It's giving room. So, and then there's this auto pan, which is just basically fluttering the volume up and down. I'm giving it that sound. This is on here on the bus for the group. I keep on saying bus. It doesn't matter. On the group for the drop stuff, but it's not being used at all. So I don't know even like why I still have it on there. Doesn't matter. And that's it for the vocals. There's background stuff or background noises. We've got the background like snare claps. So how this snare was made or clap was made. Saw in the Virtual Riot video. It's just the noise on that one, Sim Mic Bleed or whatever it's called. With the volume being automated with a bit of distortion on it, bit of compression, bit of reverb, and a bit of EQ. Gives you that noise. Classic like house clap. This is the same thing with a bit of a different shape to it. Automating the LFO rate. With the paper bag noise instead. So literally the same thing. And then together you get... It's meant to bundle up with the snare. Um, that thing again, and then all the same stuff as before. Just the little hits like this. That bundles up with the snare, and then at the end of that, you get this.
Welcome to the playground. Follow me. Tell me your nightmares and fantasies. Sink into the wasteland underneath. Stay for the night. I will sell you a dream.
And then from there, the rest of the song just uses what I've used before to just kind of finish it off. I obviously haven't recreated the whole entire song here. It's just up to where the clip that I found ended. Because, yeah, you'll also notice that 157.30 is quite specific. I was matching it up to this clip. This is the actual clip of the that you see in the video. It was not easy to work with because for some reason, the tempos and stuff wouldn't match up. So yeah, I managed to match it up with 157.30 though, so I'm pretty happy with that. And then with that, we've got the outro.
What brings you to the lost and found beauty? Won't you pull up the scene?
The reason I added a reverb, oh my god, the feedback, there we go. The reason I added the reverb on the master, at the end there, is because in the original Netflix series in the original episode, the like music becomes what we call from the camera's perspective, where the music is like in the room, and the other characters can hear it too. So I just wanted to replicate that. It's pretty odd to replicate it, even though there's like no sound fully for the rest of the clip. But I just wanted to replicate it because it would be cool. Um, we've got on the master, we've got my crazy master thing. This is for a song that is actually not yet out yet, but this is how I mastered another song. This in a similar way. I've changed how this preset works though a little bit. So we got multiband dynamics on the default preset with the amount changed from 100 to 13%. Now this is where things get a little tricky. So this mastering preset was kind of a copy of another Virtual Riot video. You can't tell, I love Virtual Riot. Basically, we got Ozo 10 on the sides, or everything that's stereo. There's an EQ that's just affecting everything that is stereo, getting rid of all the bass frequencies in the stereo field. Although I swear the Ozone one doesn't work that well. Like, I don't really care, but it just doesn't work that well. Personally, we've got a mid, so this is everything that's mono. Pretty much anyway. We're just getting rid of some boxy things and like sharp no frequencies. Imager, we're expanding basically this region of the EQ, and like basically making it more wide. We are now. This is where it gets a bit fun. 4-band. We have a 4-band compressor here, with the ratio, the compression at -12, which is default, I think. Ratio at 8:1, on the low end, on like all the sub frequencies and that. 100 to about 600 is 8:1 ratio again. 4:1 ratio on like 600 to 6K, and then 6K to all the above is 7:1. and then that is like basically it. Like you've got minus 12.5 here on the compression and minus 14.5 on the compression here. Um, we have a vintage tape. This was actually like a trick that my college lecturer did, and I actually quite like the sound of this vintage tape on the master. This is just slightly distorting everything to give it a more warmer sound, I think. Um, but my college lecturer was like, I think it came about from I asked what like what's a good mastering tip or secret or something. I think that's where it's from. How I asked like or how it came about. And he turned around and said he puts a bit of vintage tape or some tape saturation on the master to give it that good sound, which is pretty cool. I got another EQ, just expanding everything, and then like lowering that boxy feeling again, and then expanding the higher things to give it more air. Now, here I put the IRC on to the modern thing down here. Um, I liked the sound of the mids being soft clipped like by 10%. It really doesn't change much, but it's like you cannot hear it unless you've got like I don't know like 10 trillion pound speakers or something. Um, we've got a very snappy limiter here. So this is on all the way down, or this is all the way down. So like it's very fast when it releases. I think that's how this thing works. I'm not too sure. I haven't looked into it in a while. Um, and then I put this at minus 2.5. On this preset, this is usually minus 7.5, but I didn't want to just over bloat the song. I wanted to leave a bit more space, so I ended up putting it at minus 2.5. And then that gave me most of the sound that I wanted. Then limiter 6, ignore everything but this little right hand column here. We've got, just think of it as like columns. That's one. This is 2, 3, and then there's 4. So this column here is uh, kind of like a tape saturator, I think, from what I remember. I don't think it is. I could be completely wrong. Basically, what this is doing is it's telling the true peak, which is this thing here, um telling this to not go above minus 0.0, because then if your true peak is above minus 0 or above 0 in general, it is classed as clipping. The whole song last time I checked measured about minus 5 lofts. I just liked I like the sound of very high lofts. I'm not a minus 14 guy. Um, then this is on precise. This is on minus 0.3. This is on 2.0. So it's like pushing it basically. And that's it for the mastering. Span on here just so I can have a look at the frequency responses. Millimeters just for like little sort of my left monitor. You don't get to see that. And then yep, that's it. Ulium loudness meter. That's it. That's how I master that or mastered that. Uh there's this thing which is just gaining the stereo field down over here and then getting rid of all the lows. And that's it. So I hope you enjoy the little track I made. It was like it took me 2 days. Like just it was 2 days straight I worked on it, I swear. Yeah, it really didn't take me that long. So yeah, thank you and see you in the next video. Bye.